Let me just find the moon and we can get started. All right. So I know I'll give it a second for people to join here. I am using a 12-inch Dobsonian telescope with a pretty basic setup. We've just got a 26 millimeter Plossl eyepiece here and an iPhone 11, and that allows us to zoom way in. Had some questions last time about using a Barlow. Nope, I'm just really keeping it simple here. And we'll see if the iPhone's fighting me on the focus. It is a little bit. Let me just adjust it on the telescope. There we go. All right. Yeah, I always have to, when I'm using this kind of setup, I have to get my bearings because this telescope is, it inverts the image. So this is a, 180-degree rotation. There's no mirror reversal in the image. It's just sort of upside down as if you were just looking at the moon. Here, so up here, this is the moon's south pole, and if I go over here, this is the moon's north pole. Again, I'm using a Dobsonian telescope, so I'm literally just holding the telescope with, where the opening where the light comes in, I just grab it there, and I'm just sort of dragging it around the sky. And so that's how it works. So I didn't check to see if there's a Lunar X today. I don't think so. It looks like the iPhone is going to fight me on this. Yeah, so I don't see the Lunar X. It happens about this day. Dave Chapman will probably be on here, and he'll tell me if we just missed it or if we're not going to be able to see it this month. For anyone that doesn't know, the Lunar X is a really cool feature. It's about as big as, one of these, moderately sized craters here, and it's a pattern of light and shadows that appears around first quarter, and it really, along the terminator here, the line between night and day on the moon, you really get a defined X pattern that shows up quite well. It's pretty cool. It's interesting because the weather app that I'm using says that it's cloudy for me out here. Definitely not. I'm wondering if there's some haze though, that it's definitely messing with my focus here. Usually the iPhone doesn't fight me that much. There we go. All right, so what do we have for features? Here's a really, really cool one that I like. People always say, hey, can you see the lunar lander? No. Every pixel on this, every pixel on your screen here is about a mile long. So, no, you're not going to see the lunar lander. You'd need a telescope that, God, it would cost trillions of dollars probably if you set it up from Earth to see the lunar lander. But I guess we're sort of sideways here. If I can center the telescope almost exactly on the Apollo 11 landing site. So there it is. This dark patch here, that's the Sea of Tranquility. And right in the center of the screen is where Apollo 11 landed. If we zoom in, and it's bouncing around because I've got my hand on the telescope here. If we were to zoom in, now I don't know if anyone's saying anything. I can't see any chats. Say all messages. Here we go. Geo's observation says hello. Hello, Geo. Yeah, if we zoom way in, some of the craters here are actually named after Aldrin, Armstrong and Collins. And they're right about in the center of your screen, but I don't think we see them. I think those craters are only about a kilometer long or wide each in there. You could probably see them without the phone, just zooming in with your eyes and a good eyepiece, but can't see them there. And so the way I know where the Apollo 11 landing site is just, I lost it here again. I make an L with sort of the craters in the Sea of Tranquility. Got to get oriented here again. Sorry, it's bouncing around so much, folks. I think I was steadier yesterday. Okay, well, there's Sea of Tranquility for you. Very beautiful. This, this is one of my favorite spots. This is the Marsh of Sleep. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Can someone comment if you can hear me? Or if I'm on mute or what. This sort of, it's kind of a different color of gray than anywhere else on the moon. Right in the center there. And that's called the Marsh of Sleep. Kind of neat. Perfect. My sound is coming through. Thanks, Geo. Okay. Ah, that's cool. This is one of my favorite features right there. That looks like, that's called the Alpine Valley, I believe. And this, you can see the mountains there. Apennine Mountains? I'm not good with my pronunciations. They've got this big gash in them, and that's the Alpine Ridge. Can I zoom in? See if it stops bouncing around. Anyway, it's right in there. Sometimes, depending on, you can see how long those shadows are. Really, really, which is really neat because those hills aren't that sloped. Yeah. How big are the mountains? I think the mountains are actually a few kilometers high. You know, maybe up to 5 or 6. Like, mountains on the moon are pretty tall, but they're not as pointy as they appear in pictures. They appear pointy here because the shadows are elongated by the sun angle. The mountains are tall again, but they're not super pointy. They don't look like spikes. You can see them in the background. Like Apollo 17 landed over here in the Taurus Litro Valley, this area, I believe. And you know, it's mountainy, and of course the contrast is really, the iPhone's fighting me today. Yeah, so you can see all the mountains in the videos, and they're very, you know, they're very rolly. It doesn't seem like there's anywhere over a 45, you know, degree incline in the mountains on the moon. What hardware am I using? This is a 12-inch Dobsonian with just a $40 Plossl eyepiece, 26 millimeter Plossl eyepiece, and an iPhone 11. That's it, and I'm just pointing it with my hand. That's why it's so bouncy. You know, I could probably, the way to do this and really zoom in would probably be to switch over to, you know, my C8, and you know, there's lots of ways I could really, you know, sort of get in there. But this is just, this for me sets up in just, you know, seconds. There's the, oh gosh, what's that called? That crater in the middle, I almost want to call it Piccolomini. I forget what that's called. And that's a scarp right in the middle. Altai Scarp. Kind of a cool range there. Here's the, I call these the centerline craters. Again, I nicknamed everything because I forget its names. I think that, you know, crater with nothing in it is Ptolemaeus, I think. And then we've got a couple of these, I think we've got I call them the bike, yeah, the bike wheel craters. I have my book here. So I wrote the book 50 Things to See on the Moon, you know, 4 years ago or so. And I've got them all named. Let me bring up that map. It helped me out. I didn't give myself much light out here. I turned the porch lights on, but all right. Where did I put that moon map? Could have sworn I put it at the beginning of the book. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, oops, let me go back to those craters there. Again, this is an upside down view. And so I got to turn my map upside down here. Yeah, so those craters in the middle, the two, they're sort of a pair. Again, I call those the bike wheel craters because I feel like if you look close, it looks like there's a guy riding a bike, like one of those road bikes. And the smaller of those two is Exodonis, and the larger of those two craters is Aristotle, which I think is, you know, named after the philosopher Aristotle. And can we see Plato yet? No. So Plato is right in that'll appear, you know, by tomorrow. That big crater there that's in darkness is Archimedes. And right now, actually, ooh, I wonder. So we're pointed right at Apollo 15's landing site now. So that's the Hadley Ryle located in here. And if I were to zoom in all the way, and if the resolution was high enough on the iPhone, I don't think it is. I know this telescope's high enough. You can actually see the Ryle, or the channel that they drive to in the lunar rover. Oh, Geo points out there's a new unified geological map of the moon. Super cool. I have to check that out. I don't know if that's on, they updated on the University of Arizona's data is. I don't know. So if we zoom in right here, let me see if we can focus it. And it's tucked up right beside those mountains is the Ryle. If it stops bouncing around, let me see if I can see it. No, I don't see it. It looks like a little snake that's just tucked right up, almost at the edge of those shadows. You know, it's a target that's really at the limit of backyard lunar observing. Yeah, I'm looking really close and I don't see it. I know where it is too, and I still don't see it. And that's as far as I can go in without adding a Barlow. I wonder if you could see it without. And again, the moon moving here, that's the Earth's rotation. So we're just zoomed in so far that it's moving on us. So many. These craters have such long names. I call that the seashell crater because I feel like it's named after Poseidon, but it's not. What's that crater's name? It's Poseidonius. Oh, go back to that one. And that pair there is Atlas and Hercules. That lunar sea is Serenity, I believe. Yeah, it's neat because we looked at the moon 2 days ago and you could really see the serpentine ridge in there. And now we can't. It's in too much direct sunlight. Let's see how those, if we could see Messier craters. Sirius, and should be some debate whether the Saint Catherine or Saint Katrina, did she exist? Interesting debate on Wikipedia. Did Saint Katrina exist? There's interesting discussion there on the interwebs. There's Sea of Crises with crater Pierce and Picard. And I'm out of focus. Let me let go here. What else we got? Again, this is sort of the north side. This is the area, if you read Chris Hadfield's book, great book, Apollo Murders, they're hanging out right here for that. So they pretend that the Apollo 18 mission went forward and it lands near a Russian Lukanod rover, which is a real rover, drove around the moon around the same time of the Apollo missions. And so, yeah, great book. I really enjoyed it. Let me zoom out here. So you can see, like, sort of this is, if you just were looking at the eyepiece, it would look like that. Oh, wow, and you can really see these clouds coming in. The iPhone says it's completely cloudy out, which is not true. Yeah. Yeah, you folks are a lot less chatty than Tuesday night's group. Man, I was getting questions like crazy on Tuesday. Maybe it's the same folks and you've just used up all your questions. Lot more to see on the moon this night. Although again, the most interesting stuff is all down here by the Terminator. Let me see if there's some really good targets here. Some channels. What did I nickname those? Yeah, it's fortunately it's a lot warmer. It's warmed all the way up to 0 Celsius here. Yeah, it's weird. I don't see. I wonder if I'm losing some of my clarity. Can you see Orion? Yeah, I can see Orion. I mean, I could show you one star at a time. We've obviously got too much magnification to see constellations here. Watch. So if we look at like Betelgeuse here is in Orion. Let me see if I can center that on the screen. Whoop. There you go. Betelgeuse is in Orion. And man, it does not like... no, you can't really see the nebula because the way that I'm streaming, I don't have a way to take a longer exposure. So the Orion, I can point it at the Orion Nebula, but you're not going to see anything. So there's the Orion Nebula. That's probably triangulum, or not triangulum, trapezium in the middle there. So you're just not seeing any of the nebulosity because I can't set the exposure at all. So all you're getting is individual stars. I wonder if we can see I think the chat window is in the way. So the star that illuminates the horse head is sort of like this weird triple star system over here. Let me see if I can find it. It's almost in the same frame as that one. No, I think it's just too dim. The iPhone is just out of what you call it. Its exposures are too short for that. No, it could go down to Sirius, which is behind this tree. No, is the tree blocking it that bad? It is. Maybe? No, there it is through the tree. Oh, that's neat. We're actually getting diffraction spikes from the tree branches. So there's the brightest star in the sky when we fight the focus here. It does not want to focus. Sirius, behind a tree. Or in a bush. It's kind of a small tree. Yeah. Kind of funky. What else we got? I wonder if we can split some double stars. That would be Pollux. Let's see if I can center Pollux. Yeah, no, can I see the Andromeda Galaxy? I could, but you wouldn't, not on the phone. Again, I just don't have a way within this app to, I don't have a way to mess with the exposure at all. I also can't tell my level of zoom here. It's like, you do not want to stay in focus. Yeah. Okay. I could point the telescope at it and see it if I took the camera off. Yes. I believe so. Where is it? Well, it's kind of low over my neighbor's house. But you wouldn't see it in the camera because, again, the exposures are just too short. So pretty much all you're getting with Facebook or YouTube Live right now, because I'm just direct to YouTube from the phone, is the moon. You can have the moon. Yeah, and maybe we looked at the Pleiades a little bit. It was weird because I almost had to go. Where'd the Pleiades go? Right there. Okay. If we point it right at the Pleiades. Yeah, it helped to go from like a star and then to a star cluster. Like here's the Pleiades, for example. To get it, to see any of the stars, because it really fights you on the focus. Again, you can see how much magnification we're using because, I'm going to turn off. I can't see it over the chat messages. Go away, chat messages, for just a second. All right, whatever. Yeah. What's the tallest mountain on the moon? I should know that, and I don't. I think it's 6 to 8 kilometers high, but I don't know what it is. The mountains on the moon are named after the mountains on the Earth. So at least the ones in Europe, because they were named by an Italian guy. I'm going to see if... I tried this yesterday. I'm going to try the Dragonfly cluster. I think that's it, but again, we're not... It's only bringing in the 2 brightest stars in the cluster. We're not seeing the rest of it. Okay. Back to the moon. Good questions. It's good to get questions I don't know the answer to, because then I can go back and Google them. Yeah. This is all digital zoom. Sometimes optical zoom, but The issue with the iPhone adapter is that you're sort of twisting two things, and then it gets all screwy sometimes. More trouble than it's worth. What I need to do is learn OBS software and run a laptop out here. But usually I'm just like, my kids need to be put to bed, and I've only got 25 minutes. So, by the time I'd set up, that's it. I'd be out of time. But with this, I just, literally the Dobsonian takes 2 minutes to set up, and I throw an iPhone adapter on it, and I stream. And, and it's really neat. Like, I know there's only 18 or 21 people on here watching, but by tomorrow this video will have, 600 or 700 views probably. And, so yeah, people love looking at the moon. The moon is great. And, almost anyone can do this, which is kind of cool. That's what Google says. 18,000 feet is how many? Yeah, that's 8 kilometers. Yeah. Focus. Yeah, is that one on Mars? Olympus is the tallest mountain. I assume that's the tallest mountain in the solar system, even though it's a volcano. All right. Yeah, I could run over here and get a Barlow and see if we can go further in, but again, it's risky proposition. Let me see. Is there one I can throw in real quick? My Barlow is missing the little screw to tighten the eyepiece in. My little one. Here, bear with me. I might run over and see if I can get one. You can hear me rustling around in the garage. Let me pull this over here so it autofocuses again. It's got these Celestron bags full of random eyepieces. Ooh, there's a crappy 2X Barlow. Need a good one. Oh, zooming in on the Alps mountains. Oh, does anyone know a good website where I could buy used affordable telescopes? I use B&H Photo. Is where I get most of mine used. And basically I know what I want before I buy it, and I just refresh the page like once a day and wait for it to show up. So I've done that. I did that for the advanced VX mount that I wanted. I got that on B&H Photo. That's about $1,200 now or $1,000, and I picked it up for like $480. Yeah, but you want to know what you want before you buy it. You don't want to, like, it gets really annoying when people are like, this one's on sale. Can I have this? Is this telescope good? And it's like, no. This telescope's on sale. Can I buy that? Is it good? No. On Amazon, it's almost all the telescope reviews on Amazon. I don't know if I hope everyone realizes that they're all fake. Like, all of them. There's almost no telescopes on Amazon that aren't toys. Like, most of them, they're just pretending to be telescopes. They're just that bad. Like, they're decorations for the most part. Even the ones made by Celestron. So, yeah, B&H Photo. I mean, I bought probably half my telescopes used. And again, that's B&H Photo used section, and they refurbish them. So, hey, Anthony, good to see you again. Yeah, but again, you want to know which telescope you want before. So if you're a beginner and you've never bought a telescope, there's really only, at least right now, there's like 2 options that are decently priced. And one is at Costco, but not on their website, and it's the Omni AZ telescope, the 102 millimeter. And the other one is just a 6-inch Dobsonian. And that one you might even have to get used. That one used to be $200, like before the telescope inflation debacle happened. And now it's almost $400 or more, almost $500. Although that one's worth it. Like, you'll get a lifetime of joy out of a 6-inch Dobsonian. Oh, hopefully one of my kids lets the dog in. Maybe? I don't know. Anyone else have a dog that just wants to go in and out, in and out, in and out? Okay. Oh, yeah, small dots on the left side of the image very close to the moon. It could be a background star. Oh, right there. Yeah. So you could probably look that up. So, what star that is, because it would be called a bright star occultation. Where are we here? Yeah, so the moon is in, what constellation is that? Auriga? Yeah. So, yeah, so in about, yeah, good catch there on the screen. It looks like in about 20 minutes, that star will go behind the moon. So, yeah, good catch. And so if you look up in the RASC Observer's Handbook and you look at today's date, I'm guessing they'll tell you what star that is. It's probably a bright one, too. It looks super dim in here, but that's just because the moon is so bright. Yeah. Now you got me thinking about beginner telescopes to recommend again. Besides the Omni AZ, which is... Someone just texted me today that they found it at Costco for $199 Canadian. So that's only $150 US. And if you know anything about that there's a ton of telescopes out there with that lens. So it's a 102 millimeter lens with a focal length of 660 millimeters. And there's a ton of telescopes that have that lens in it. Explore Scientific uses it, Meade uses it, Celestron uses it. But that telescope has a lot of things that the other ones don't. It's got a mount with slow motion controls. It's got a 2-inch focuser. I tried it with a 2-inch diagonal and 2-inch eyepiece, and the views were just outstanding. Like, that's a telescope. It's insane or incredible and awesome that you can get a telescope for $200 that could last you a lifetime. That's pretty darn cool that exists right now. And I think Costco's liquidating them. I don't know where they got them all. But I've gotten hundreds of comments probably on that video I posted about it, because I thought I got the last one. And I'm like, yeah, I got this telescope. They don't make it anymore. And I posted this video about it, and just people were buying them like left and right across North America and sending me notes saying they got it. So what would be one good for planet viewing? I mean, any telescope. I mean, so your resolution is dependent on your aperture, right? So the wider the aperture, the better you are. And then you just pick eyepieces that zoom in far enough to see the planets. I mean, that said, the best planet viewing telescopes are generally considered to be SCT telescopes. And Dobsonians with a good eyepiece setup are pretty good too. The issue with the cheap telescopes or any of the refractors is that you have chromatic aberration. So you'll look at Jupiter or Saturn, and it'll be like Jupiter or Saturn will be half like blue and half, it'll glow on one side blue and it'll glow like red on the other. That's chromatic aberration. It's because the different colors are coming into focus at different focal lengths. But mirror-based telescopes don't have that. Yeah, Omni 102 is just, gosh, I'm so happy that a lot of people are getting that scope, because you can go find some dark skies and just do all the messy items. Get the book, 110 Things to See with a Telescope, see all those objects, get your certificate from the Astronomical League that you've seen them all, and, that's a great start to the hobby of astronomy, which, you know, for me turned into a career. So, yeah, Omni AZ. I'll probably use that one a lot more. I've been using the mount too, so I pulled the telescope off and I use the mount for my solar telescope. Just all good. Good questions. Let's see if I missed any here. Let's go. Oh. See if I click on comments. All comments visible. Okay. Can you zoom into Mare Crisium? Yeah. Try. There you go. Let's see if it'll focus for me. Pierce and Picard. Again, one of the, I think that, yeah, so those two craters in the middle of the Sea of Crisis there are Pierce and Picard. It is not locking on the focus for me here. And yeah, it's Picard, who they made, the French astronomer that they named Jean-Luc Picard after in Star Trek. If anyone's seen the first episode of Picard, no spoilers. I was sort of waiting to finish Discovery. YouTube just sends me a message. Welcome to live chat. I'm like, yeah, I know. I got two hands trying to stabilize the telescope, stop it from bouncing around. I think I know why it was more stable on Tuesdays, because the camera was, or the telescope was pointed lower in the sky. Right now it's almost, you know, it's pretty vertical. The moon is pretty high up for us here. What camera? It's just an iPhone 11. The adapter is a Celestron XYZ. So there's the South Pole. The cool thing about this is it gets, like, there's places here where hypothetically it's always sunny, which is extremely valuable in terms of real estate, because on the moon, your days are 14 days long and your nights are 14 days long. And if you rely on solar power or whatever, you don't want to be there in the night for 14 days. Like, that would be terrible. And so the idea is, if you put a base right here, there's totally a rat in my shed climbing on all my stuff. You guys can probably hear that. That is so weird. My dog loves to hunt rats. Come here. Here, pup. Go in there. Go get the rat. Go get him. There's some entertainment for you. I wonder if I could flip the camera around and see what you can see. You see into my garage? See the dog? I'm getting a warning from YouTube. Don't rotate your camera. Oh, the dog's too old for this. Okay. That is crazy. There's that rodent is going crazy back there. I wonder if I moved my telescope and, like, blocked it in. Anyway, yeah, one time I was using this telescope and a rat ran across the fence. There's a fence right behind me here. And the dog, like, flew through the air and got the rat right off the top of the fence. And this is a golden retriever. I didn't know she could jump that high at all. It was wild. Rat hunting dog. I think right there is, people in Texas call this the Lunar Texas. For some reason. They say it looks like Texas. I don't see it. It's the sort of the white spot that goes into the lunar sea there. Lunar Texas. Yeah. Anyway. There's been around 20 people watching, only 9 likes. I guess this isn't very entertaining. If you're paying attention, like the video, people. That's how YouTube knows to share it. Let me see if I missed any questions here. So we can go back to these comments. Let me see if I missed any questions here. So we can go back to these comments. Live chat. Oh, what camera? Yeah, iPhone 11. So, yeah, okay. All right, how do I make the chat go away now? I don't know. Yeah, I really need to learn OBS. That way I could sort of, you could see me and the telescope, and I could put a, designated astronomy camera on here. Oh, how's that star doing? Where'd it go? Can you view the Apollo 11 landing site? Yeah, we already did. There you go, there it is. Right there. Remember, each pixel is about a mile wide, so it's there. It's just way smaller. I don't have $1 trillion to build a telescope big enough to see it. I suppose there is a way you could do it, because your resolution is a function of the wavelength of light. So if you went to the Apollo 11 site and had an X-ray emitter, like you just shot X-rays out of it, all around, so you could actually see the structure in X-ray light, then you could probably observe it from Earth with a much smaller. Yeah, that would be probably the least expensive. It'd probably only cost a few million. Oh, there's another star. Okay. Yeah, I think I calculated how expensive it would be to build a telescope that could see the lunar lander, and I came up with a number. I was just, using linear approximations. Really it would be exponential, but linearly it costs 60 times the entire world's economy. Much cheaper just to go to the moon. Very difficult to build giant telescopes that can see that resolution. Usually when using a telescope, you're looking at things that are huge, you're not looking at things that are small. So I am in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And it is about 0 degrees here. The snow is melting, which is nice. Is the Alpine Valley out? Yep. Right here. There you go. I've seen it more pronounced, but it's not bad. It's not bad here. As it fights me on the focus. There you go. I wish there was a screen share option in YouTube. There's the Altai Scarp. Yeah. London, England, that's late at night for you. I don't even know what time it is. It's probably 7 o'clock, so it's midnight there. So I'm not sure. I never pay attention to the limb. So you guys know about libration? So most people know that the moon always points, the same side of the moon always points at the Earth. That's not entirely true. I don't know if you guys know that. So the moon always points at the empty focus. So the moon orbits in an ellipse, and the center of the Earth is at one point in the ellipse, and the other point in the ellipse has nothing in it. And so the moon, being tidally locked, always points at the empty focus in the ellipse. That should hurt your brain. So that's why we see 56% of the moon. And so if you're watching from Earth and you're watching the moon, it rocks left and right. And it also, because the moon's orbit rises 5 degrees above the sort of the plane of the solar system, or the plane of Earth's orbit around the sun, sometimes we see a little bit of the bottom of the moon if the moon is sort of above the plane, and we see a little bit of the top of the moon when the moon is below the plane of the solar system. Oh, you're in Truro. Awesome. How do I not know you then? Are you the guy, you go to Halifax from Ask? Are you the pilot? Sounds familiar. The skydiving instructor? Anyway. Yeah. So libration, super cool. That's the rocking back and forth of the moon. Will you get an EQ platform? No. I thought about it. I've got a garage here full of telescopes, and I've got, 2 big EQ mounts, and I have access to the university's telescope. So it's just there's nothing I can't do with what I have access to on a daily basis that I would need to put a mount on this telescope for. This is my goofing around telescope. And I used to do public observations or public observing stuff with this telescope. I'm guessing between 5,000 and 10,000 people have used this scope at star parties. Have you ever seen the Magellanic Clouds? No. And I really don't have a good excuse besides that I have kids and traveling south is difficult. Yeah, so it's definitely on my to-do. Oh, thanks for subscribing. Yeah, my life goal is to go hang out with Dylan. If you guys don't follow Dylan O'Donnell's channel, he's an astrophotographer from Australia. And it's sort of like astrophotography and crude humor at the same time. It's pretty funny. I actually reached out to him and I said, hey, I just, wrote my new stargazing book about the Messier objects. Can you promote it? And he's like, no. He's like, my viewers are too immature for that. I'm like, okay. I think that was the kids' version, is why he didn't want to promote it on his channel, because he says non-kid-friendly things. Whereas my channel is very kid-friendly. Wait, did I see a question? Bring the chat up again. I follow Dylan here and on Twitter. Yeah, Dylan's great. Are there any good stray light filters for eyepieces, or is it better just go to dark air? Just go to a dark sky. UHC filters are what you would use. And then if you're using cameras, that's different. Cameras, you would use an L Enhance or an L Extreme or something. They're about $200. And then you can do some crazy astrophotography from the city. And that's what pretty much everyone is using these days. Most people are on the L Extreme. It was about $400 for that filter. And so I still have the L Enhance, which is sort of the previous model. Yeah. So, yeah, UHC filters, if you're going to try. I don't know. I've used it a couple times, and I'm like, nah, I didn't really notice the difference. Because it also makes the light pollution filters block out light that's unwanted primarily for viewing nebula, but it also blocks out some wanted light too. So your life goal is to hang out with John. Well, we got 2 big star parties this summer, and Nova Scotia is awesome. Everyone should come to Nova Scotia. Except everyone is coming to Nova Scotia. This is one of the fastest growing places in Canada, and the rents are going through the roof. They can't build high rises fast enough here to hold everyone. So it's been interesting. Like, I worry about our subdivision is just going to be taken over by high rises someday. This is a 12-inch Dobsonian, but I've only got a pretty weak eyepiece on here, so I'm not sure how much more we could do if I put a beefier eyepiece on here. But I don't know, because remember, this is all just the iPhone 11 zoom. Because this is just looking through the scope. This is just all the iPhone right here. So, yeah, iPhones are pretty powerful beasts. Yeah, that's what I wanted to check was, I put the book down. There's a valley on the moon around here that I call the Archer's Bow. And for some reason I can't find it. I'm pretty sure it's in here, and maybe it's just the resolution of the telescope. I'll grab the book again. what was that called? Just got the... It's interesting. I feel like, so I wrote 50 things to see on the moon, and I still haven't been able, I still like pull the book out when I want to, know things. I just feel like I've never memorized anything. Yeah, Rima Hajima. I'm confused why I can't see that right now. Oh, I know why. No, wait. L for landing. Rima Hajimas. Okay. Let's see if we can find it. Is here. 11. Right here. Okay. So there's a valley in here. Maybe I'm just not... I think the iPhone... Oh, yeah, there it is. The resolution on the phone is just not that great. So if I send... And it's how the light's catching it. So we're only seeing one side of the... Sort of the bow and arrow shape. It's looking crisp, but knowing what it looks like without the eye... Like, it's really, really, really crisp. Oh, yeah. So there's the Lunar V. Right there. So it's just to the left of the Lunar V is upside down. Because remember, this is a 180-degree rotation. So the sort of bow and arrows. I think it was a collapsed lava tube. And so the central crater in the middle there. Oop. Anyway. Cool feature. Sorry it's bounced around so much. I'm making everyone dizzy here. I think my wife and my kids are inside playing video games. Why they haven't. No one's comes pouring outside asking me to put milk on their cereal or anything. My kids always have to have cereal before they go to bed. And basically cereal at night and granola bars in the morning. Yeah. Someone asked for the Alps Mountains. I think that's them coming into view. Or there's like, so Alpine and Alps. So Alps are the bottom set. So that would be these guys. Right there. Right where Apollo 15 landed. I'm sorry I wasn't able to find my Barlow. It'd be interesting if we were able to get any better resolution with that. I'm guessing no, but you never know. Because again, resolution has nothing to do with eyepieces or optics or anything. Resolution is only determined by the diameter of your telescope's mirror lens. That's it. I get a lot of people writing me or commenting like, how do I increase my resolution? I'm like, you can't. You got to get a new telescope. And so I take it I come off as harsh with some people online, but I only got yelled at by one person this week. Yelled at in terms of like all caps YouTube comments. Yeah. Someone wanted to know, so I had a video with an imaging setup, and I had like 25 different little pieces that I was going over. And the person asked for the list. And I said, yeah, the list is here. And I sent him to the video where I had the list. And he got really upset that I didn't include the list in the chat. He said I was being lazy, that I just sent him a link. He was clearly very upset. And I'm like, no, the list is in the description. He's like, well, you should have told me that. Brody says, I made a mistake buying my first telescope. Yeah, me too. I probably made a mistake buying my first 3 telescopes. And my first couple telescopes were bought at the pharmacy for like $14. And then I super couponed. So I saw them again. And I had this coupon for like 75% off anything at CVS Pharmacy. You know, when you read that giant long receipt and there's like coupons hidden in it. This was in Concord, California. And then my wife had like another one. It was like you can coupon on the coupon. And so the telescope came to 58 cents. And I think I gave it away as a white elephant present. But what was neat about that is, you know, those cheap little those long tube refractors are actually pretty good at Saturn. So the reason that telescopes are really long, the cheap ones, is because you can compensate for a really low quality lens by making the telescope longer. And it was actually, you know, I got a great view of Saturn with that telescope. It was really small, obviously, but it was enough to have me go out and buy a better scope. And I went up to a 60 millimeter scope, which is like way smaller than I would ever recommend. But yeah, learning experience. So, and then I went right from the 60 millimeter scope, which was an ETX 60. It's a backpack model they used to sell at Costco. And then I went right from that to the 12-inch Dobsonian. EvoStar 72. Yeah, so that's be a tiny guy. Super tiny. I'm not sure I know anything about the EvoStar. There's a lot of telescopes right now that are, because you can go on Alibaba and buy a telescope that's unbranded and buy them in bulk and just they'll put your brand on it and then drop ship it. So I think a lot of people are doing that now and just starting random telescope companies, which I'm tempted to do too, except with a good telescope. So most people are doing it with telescopes that aren't good. But I think it'd be neat to have a Learn to Stargaze branded telescope, and then, you know, if I could buy the rights to Celestron's Omni AZ or something. Yeah, my garage right now is full of sort of 60 and 70 millimeter telescopes that I reviewed, and, you know, I'm like, well, my wife's like, get rid of them. I'm like, well, I can't give them away, because what if someone accidentally tried to use it? Like you'd be taking someone who might be interested in astronomy, and then, oh, sorry, it is a bit cold out here. I'm getting stuffed up. Yeah, so you might be I worried I'd be ruining someone's hobby, you know. And I've done that before. I've lent people telescopes. They've been like, hey, I can't use it. And then they never do astronomy again. It's kind of sad. So, anyway. Yeah, I'm blanking I always blank on the name of that sea. The one with, I think it's the Sea of Rains, but what is it in Latin? The one that has, why do you use your Skywatcher Alt-Az rig instead of your, I was trying to read that question. My Skywatcher Alt-Az rig. Are you referring to another video, Brody? So if I'm taking photos, I'm always on an EQ rig. Live views like this, I'm just gonna, you know, use a telescope that's easiest to set up. And this one I can just, you know, fly around the sky. If someone's like, hey, show me Orion, I can just go whoosh, and scoot over. Yeah. So I use a Skywatcher AZ GTI as a travel scope, and that's technically an AZ mount, but I put it on a wedge for taking photos. So here, let's see. We can still see Sirius. It's out from behind the tree now. Let's see what it looks like here. Huh? Oh, it looks a little better. Super out of focus. It's kind of weird. It makes me think my collimation is off. Maybe my collimation is off. Look at that. I need to check that. It's surprising that the moon view is so good, if that's right. It could be just a branch in front of it, too, is throwing off the image. So collimation is just making sure that the light coming in your telescope is straight. The moon is dropping behind the roof next door. I do have a Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. It's right behind. But again, here, maybe I'll just pull this off. I should be done for a minute here. If I can turn the light on. So here's the Dobsonian. Wow, it's dark. I'm going to go to the other side of it. I can barely see it. Maybe you can see it. Yeah, so there's the Dobsonian I'm using. The porch lights are on, but anyway. And then if we go in, looking in the garage, like there's the EQ6R Pro right there. And there's just a pile of junk telescopes. But yeah, there's the box. So you see, I've got 3 lights on out here. Okay. Go back to the mount. I mean, Dobsonians and AZ mounts are just so much more fun. EQ mounts, unless you're into serious astrophotography, then you don't want an EQ mount. They're a pain. It's much easier just to use a big Dobsonian. You get more bang for your buck anyway. All right, well, that's been about an hour. I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. Yeah, we didn't see any of that. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's dark out. Thus is the life of an astronomer. Anyway, signing off. Hopefully I'll do another one of these soon. Ciao.